This is Glow in the Dark Radio. The science fiction podcast with original independent science fiction written and performed by Mike Luoma, with music by Kevin MacLeod. The Vatican Assassin Trilogy and The Adventures of Alibi Jones by Mike Luoma are available in ebook, trade paperback, and audiobook wherever you find your books online. Get links and details at glowinthedarkradio.com. This is the Science Fiction Podcast, Glow in the Dark Radio. I'm your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma, and I've got Chapter 20, Vatican Abdicator, on the way. Well, the Trendspace Nullifier worked. Thousands of Eldred ships were destroyed, along with the asteroid base, and some heavy casualties, unfortunately. No sign of Dolomay yet, but BC is getting ready to face him. He knows it's coming. He needs to grab a little sleep, but also wants to find out how other areas have held up during this initial onslaught by the Eldred. He'll be assessing the situation as we get into Chapter 20 of Vatican Abdicator, coming up on Glow in the Dark Radio. A reminder, the Smashwords July Summer Winter Sale is underway, with a couple of my big books available for half price: the Alibi Jones Chronological Omnibus and the Vatican Assassin Trilogy. Many books under one cover in each of those cases, each for half price, 50% off, just $2.49, $2.49 for the Alibi Jones Chronological Omnibus and $2.49 for the Vatican Assassin Trilogy. All at smashwords.com. There's a link in the show notes, or you can just go to smashwords.com and look for Vatican Assassin or Alibi Jones or Mike Luoma and be able to track those down. It's good through the end of July, so we're at about the midpoint of the sale. A big thank you to patrons, because you keep things going. You help me keep this podcast going. Man, couldn't do it without you. So thank you again if you are a patron. If you're not yet and you want to help keep the podcast going, head to patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio. You can join for free at first and just see what it's all about, and then maybe think about joining in. Again, that's patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio. I've got $2, $5, and $10 a month levels for members of Glow in the Dark Radio. And I keep coming up with some ideas for the next Alibi Jones novel. It is still there. It's a big old thing in my head. And I just wrote another introduction or another opening to the novel, because I don't quite like the beginning at this point. I don't know. There's things I want to change up just a little. But yeah, it's this big old story still living in my head and in files and in notebooks. It's here. But that beginning it just was, I don't know, it just hasn't quite worked, so I keep rethinking it. And I am now getting some new ideas. Like I said, I was just writing some new stuff down. But I'm not sure they're good ideas yet, so, we'll see. There's also a story structure I was trying to use that I'm not sure I'm a fan of anymore. So that might not be happening. I want to change things around a little bit. But yeah, it's still there. I'm still working on the next Alibi Jones novel. I might change the title. Right now it's the Mortimek Wars, but I don't know if I'm sticking with that. But so far I haven't come up with an alternate title that doesn't give too much away. Anyway, that's the latest Alibi Jones update. It's still there. It's still happening. It's just an unwieldy SOB at this point. Well, so was Vatican Abdicator at one stage in its development, so there's hope. We're going to get into Chapter 20 of Vatican Abdicator next on Glow in the Dark Radio.
The Flesh Pulp Podcast. 3 to 10 minutes of fiction brought to you thrice weekly. 200 miles below the surface of the earth, at the terminus of a series of long-sealed caverns and interconnected shrines, under the shadow of the eternally bleeding eye, there is a crippled wreck of a man writing tales, stories of a dimension engulfed in madness. He is writing them of you. Sing them all at fleshpulp.com or search for it on iTunes.
Now here's Chapter 20 of Vatican Abdicator on Glow in the Dark Radio.
BC paces the bridge of his command and control ship. He tried to sleep, but only caught a quick cat nap. He can't really rest when he knows there are battles still raging between his people and the Eldred. We still have plenty of ships on reserve, a mix of fixed-up old UTZ models and newer Stinger ships. At least a couple more trans-space nullifiers will be ready soon, according to Krish. And we did wipe out a whole bunch of them just now. Maybe we are winning. Chang, what's happening with the shipyards right now? Get me a sit-rep on all of our engagement arenas, BC orders. A new strategy screen appears in front of BC. Swarms of light blue blips buzz around the edges of the screen. As BC watches, smaller groups break off from the swarms and fly in to attack the shipyards. Red, green, gold, and silver blips intercept, and blue blips disappear. We've jumped our remaining ships from the asteroid base engagement out of harm's way, Chang reports. Gold 2, 3, 4, and 5, and Safe 4 made it out. We lost Gold 1, and Safe 1, 2, 3, and 5. We're waiting for an updated assessment of battlefield results, but initial estimates of enemy losses number near 2,500, Chang tells BC, raising an eyebrow. Good start, BC says sharply. We're still engaging the enemy at the shipyards. Judging by Commander's battlefield reports, improvements to our shield technology and to our energy beam weaponry appear to have given our ships a distinct advantage against the Eldred ships. We've been able to repel their attacks and inflict heavy casualties. Good. There's another thing the commanders are reporting, sir. Our pilots report that the Eldred lack, imagination in their battle strategies, for lack of a better word. For a supposedly advanced race, their battle tactics are not that advanced, and often two-dimensional instead of three. Makes them predictable, not advanced at all. How many of theirs have we destroyed at the shipyards? BC asks. At least 1,000, Chang tells him. Again, these are preliminary battle numbers, which tend to be inflated, he cautions. All thanks to the technological improvements we've reverse-engineered from that ship of theirs. If we hadn't stolen that ship, this all would have been over really quickly. Any sign of Dolomay? Any unidentified ships in the area? Negative. I want you to send a patrol squad back to the area around the asteroid base to keep a watch over the place. Keep a lookout for them. Harass any surviving Eldred ships you might find there. Keep the battle on. Roger, Chang acknowledges. Sir, you've got an incoming call from Ceres Central. It's Governor Capituna. Thanks, BC says to Chang. Anita! Hi, BC. Are we winning? It's been pretty quiet here. The Eldred didn't stay long. No, they didn't. They threw a lot at the asteroid base, and then they threw even more at it. Is it gone? She asks, sounding like she really doesn't want to hear the answer. It's gone, BC tells her. So are 5 of our ships and their crews. But the strategy worked. We took out a couple thousand of their ships, and they could hardly touch us. Now they're concentrating on the shipyards, but they're not getting anywhere. We keep knocking them down when they attack. They don't change their tactics much. We're kind of mopping up there, I think. Gold 2 from the shipyards on the line for you, Prime Rep, Chang interrupts. Well, Anita, I've got to go for now. Please excuse me. I'll call you back soon. Okay, BC. Let me know what I can do to help. Will do. Thank you, Anita, BC says, smiling. Sure thing, BC, Anita says with a smile of her own. Ceres Central out. Okay. Go Gold 2, BC continues.
We're still encountering significant numbers of Eldred ships,
The pilot reports.
They're throwing themselves at us. It's like they're methodically trying to wear us down. That's a guess, of course. They don't seem to vary their attack. It's the same every time. They don't adapt. It's just wave after wave of their ships coming down to blast at the shipyard's assembly line. We're kind of mowing them down, sir.
Keep up the good work, BC says uncertainly, unsuccessfully trying to keep the irony out of his voice. We may see Dolomay sooner rather than later if this keeps up. If he doesn't show soon, there may not be anything left of the Eldred. Well, best not to get ahead of ourselves, huh, BC? If we don't leave him anything to shoot at, he may not show. You know what, Gold? Don't let them hit any targets, but be sure you leave some of their ships intact and functioning, okay? Disengage from direct attacks and retreat to defensive perimeter positions.
Retreat, sir? Gold 2 requests confirmation.
You heard me, Gold 2. Don't let them hit the line. Hold perimeter positions, but do not directly engage.
Oh, okay, sir.
Gold 2 says. BC can hear the hesitation in the pilot's voice. It's okay, Gold 2. I need you to trust me on this. It's part of a bigger plan, BC explains, feeling compelled to bolster the pilot's reserve. With that in mind, keep your eyes open for Dolomay and his ships. Get it?
Gotcha,
The pilot confirms.
Gold 2 out.
BC feels an ache begin to build behind his temples. A headache?
Prime Representative,
Gold 2 comes back on the line.
there's something here.
The comm signal cuts off abruptly. BC looks up at the strategy screen display. Gold 2's blip is gone. A strange dark blue smudge glows where the blip had been. Chang, what's this blue smudge here where Gold 2 was? Not sure, sir. We're having trouble getting a fix on it. That's why it's not clearly resolved. We can tell there's something there, bending waves, messing with the gravity, but no fix. It's him. Gotta be. Dolomay. How many ships does he have now? Are we seeing any other anomalies like this nearby? BC asks Chang. We're tracking about 6 of them. Come on, BC says, turning on the fleet-wide communicator. Those smudges on the strategic display are Dolomay's ships, BC informs Chang and the safe ships listening in. Steer clear of them. They're not showing themselves yet. Dolomay wants the Eldred more than he wants us. He's been adapting tech too after looting worlds across the galaxy. His ships are bound to possess capabilities that either match or go beyond our own. He's no doubt adapted alien weaponry we can't yet imagine. We have to be ready to defend against it all the same. His ships are obviously employing some shield technology that we don't have and can't see through yet. That's why we can't get a fix on them, BC explains to the fleet.
So we should just shoot the smudges.
A pilot pipes up. Not yet, BC cautions. Don't let them know we can see them at all just yet. Just steer clear. If they follow you, lead them towards Eldred forces. Let them get close to the Eldred. I believe Dolomay's hatred of the Eldred will lead him to engage them as soon as they are close enough to attack. We need to watch that attack, see what Dolomay does, how his ships fight. Watch for any weaknesses. The Eldred have been an easy foe to fight and predictable. I expect Dolomay's forces won't be so easy to fight and certainly won't be so predictable. Let him wear himself down a little against the Eldred. Although, if we've been able to mow them down, I'm sure his forces will be able to do so as well, BC speculates out loud. For now, lay low. Watch out for Dolomay's ships and continue minimal engagement with the Eldred attack force. Let Dolomay think we're nearly wiped out. I don't want him to know what our strength level really is. As BC watches on the strategy screen, the safe forces hang back. The blue smudges representing Dolomay's ships begin moving towards the Eldred reserve fleet, spreading out apart from each other, and subtly penetrating the spaces between the thousands of light blue blips hanging en masse on the edges of the conflict. The blue smudges move deep into the midst of the Eldred, undetected. Suddenly, in a coordinated effort, the 6 ships begin spinning, each ship firing in all directions, each ship a bristling pincushion of energy beams, a deadly blossom of fierce firepower. The Eldred ships surrounding them are ripped into shreds, their blue blips blinking out in concentric waves of death, rippling out from Dolomay's ships. Each ship is surrounded by a globe of fiery debris as they continuously fire into the surrounding Eldred, but they're far enough apart from each other to prevent friendly fire. Dolomay's ships massacre hundreds of Eldred vessels in the first minute of their orgy of destruction. The safe forces nearby merely hang back and watch, avoiding shrapnel and stray fire. BC calls up a visual feed from one of the safe ships near Dolomay's attack. Brightly erupting flashes of light dim the stars around them in the near distance, each evidence of an exploding Eldred ship. BC can barely make out a pulsing ball of light off in the distance, Dolomay's nearby ship. The flashing explosions threaten to blind BC, and he switches back to the tactical display. On the strategy screen, Dolomay's ships continue to deal death by the hundreds as they advance through the Eldred fleet. Suddenly, one of the blue smudges stops spinning and darts out from the midst of the carnage of the conflict and heads off on its own.
There you are. I bet my life Dolomay's on board that ship.
Send a squadron after that ship, BC commands over the comm. He turns to his pilot. Chang? Yes, sir. How fast can we get to the battle? You want to take the command and control ship into the battle, sir? Close to it anyway, Chang. This isn't a debate. How long will it take? I think we can be there in 5 minutes if we go transspace. It's a short jump, but a little dangerous. I can do it though, sir, or I wouldn't try it. Do it, BC says. He winces as pain begins throbbing behind his temples again, threatening to become a headache. He tries to fight it, but seems to be losing. Are you okay, sir? Headache. BC spits out the word. Go! Chang, chastised, turns and focuses on flying the ship. As he works, BC shifts his screen to show the ship's exterior view. As he watches, they pull away from Sirius Central and suddenly shift into transspace. BC's headache eases as they jump. They reappear right above the shipyard's main installation, near some safe ships patrolling the facility. Suddenly, BC's headache slams back on both sides, with more power than before. He brings his hands up to press in the sides of his skull, as if to keep it from splitting.
God damn, it's him. Somehow Dolomay is doing this to me. I just feel it. I know it somehow. He can't quite get into my head, but he can do this.
Chang, get us near that smudge that's on its own. Where is it now? It's moved away from the Eldred to a vantage point near our raw material mining facilities, Chang says. Head for that ship, but don't get too close. BC manages to spit out past his pain. He grimaces. Are you okay, sir? Your nose. You're bleeding, sir.
So I am, bastard.
Chang, I'm going to try to get control of this attack. This is a mental attack by Dolomay. I'll explain later. But give me 15 minutes here to compose myself and maybe counterattack. I'm going to close my eyes and see what I can do. Don't disturb me for about 15 minutes, okay? Yes, sir. What about after that? Wake me up, shake me, whatever you have to do, BC instructs. If I don't wake up on my own.
That was Chapter 20 of Vatican Abdicator on Glow-in-the-Dark Radio. Well, Dolomay has finally shown himself. Actually, not really shown himself, because he's got that shielding stuff. His ships are shielded, but BC has seen through their cloaking devices, and they did reveal themselves in their actions, taking out hundreds of Eldred ships at the shipyards. Now BC is heading there so he can face Dolomay head on. Kind of literally head on. Or maybe head in, if Dolomay can get through BC's mental defenses. Let's hope BC can keep that from happening. Let's hope BC wakes up on his own when we get into Chapter 21 of Vatican Abdicator on our next episode of Glow-in-the-Dark Radio. Once again, a big thank you to patrons who help keep this podcast going. And you can become a patron at patreon.com. There are 3 different levels, $2 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month. And you can help keep the podcast moving along. Patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio, or just go to glowinthedarkradio.com or MikeLuoma.com and click on the link for Patreon. A reminder, there are 2 books on sale for half price. The Vatican Assassin Trilogy, 3 books under one cover, and The Adventures of Alibi Jones Chronological Omnibus, which is all of the Alibi books so far under one cover. Both of those are half price during the month of July, during the July summer-winter sale at Smashwords. Just $2.49 a piece. $2.49 for the Chronological Omnibus from Alibi Jones, and $2.49 for the Vatican Assassin Trilogy. You can just Go to smashwords.com or follow the link in the show notes. And that is all for this episode. Again, we're hoping BC wakes up for the next one. I'm your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma. Thank you again for listening to Glow in the Dark Radio.
Glow in the Dark Radio.
This podcast presentation is copyright 2023 by Michael F. Luoma and is protected under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License, CC by NCND 4.0. Music by Kevin MacLeod. You can find his work at incompetech.com. Mike's books are available in ebook, paperback, and audiobook, wherever you find books online. Get links and more details at glowinthedarkradio.com and mikeluoma.com. This has been a presentation of Glow in the Dark Radio.